And Julia, after your presentation, continue to let people in. Welcome, folks. Welcome to World Farmers Markets Coalition June studio. It's already June. I hope everybody's well. Thank you for being here. We have a very dynamic and exciting program for you today. We're just going to let a couple of minutes allow folks to join. Welcome. Hello, Peter. I think there are people from Adana Earth Market joining today, yeah? Hello. Welcome to World Farmers Markets Coalition Academy June Studio. It's really great to have you here. Thank you for being here with us. We will be starting in just a minute or so. Okay, let me just share screen. Okay. Thank you so much for being here with us with World Farmers Markets Coalition. Today's June Studios topic is farmers markets as a champion, a big champion of biodiversity. We have a very exciting program for you today. We have a couple of exciting guest presentations. One by Alvaro Toledo. There's a bio coming in just a little bit from the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, and our very own Julia and Viola to discuss our farmers markets count campaign, counting biodiversity. And we also have some of our members, World Farmers Markets Coalition's members, a video presentation, which is really also fun. And we are hoping to leave as much time as usual as possible to have interaction and take your questions and answer. As usual, we will go through our community agreements really quickly. This is a very precious 90 minutes of your week that you're giving us. Thank you so much. And let's be present for the time that we're here together and stay engaged. As we have so much to give one another, offer one another in this time. We welcome and honor multiple viewpoints, literally covering 24 time zones of all the world. And we will have disagreements, I guarantee you. But we will hold a difference and disagreements and judgments, possibly softly. Instead, we will bring curiosity and gratitude for the diversity that we have that is really rare to find in other parts of our lives. We will trust each other's intent, but also acknowledge the impact as to how it might land on others. We will make space for others. We will also take space when it's your time. And for the sake of brevity, with many people in this room, we will think in sentences and not paragraphs. I'm just going to go quickly through the speaker's bio. Alvaro Toledo, thank you again for being here. He's been with FAO for 23 years, and he's the Deputy Secretary of International Treaty Plant Genetic Resources at FAO. Agriculture engineer by training and background. His master's in crop sciences and plant genetics. That's really cool kid thing to do. I am so glad now I have a friend who have backgrounds in these things. And at Treaty Secretariat, he provides technical leadership mainly in negotiations to enhance the functioning of the treaty multilateral mechanisms. All that to say, he's serving as a leader at the FAO for the global biodiversity um, development, restoration, and then treaty building. And for the World Farmers Market Coalition presentation, we have Julia and Viola. Julia is our communications officer at the coalition. She has a very diverse and strong background in digital communication, marketing, and you know you've been interacting with her through our campaign and other things. And I think that your interaction with her speaks for itself. And she's also been very active with World Farmers Markets Coalition and other partners' work within the coalition. Her international studies and professional experience has shaped her global perspective, and that helps her to be dynamic and innovative in our environment. She's our go-to person for digital strategies, content creations, and audience engagement. Viola is our food policy and local food system development manager at the World Farmers Markets Coalition. She is also a co-founder of Growmarkt, a nonprofit grassroots farmers market association in Copenhagen, Denmark, since 2019. She's also the chairperson and the secretary general. She works, studies, and advocates for a more inclusive, just, and sustainable food system. And she has a particular interest in alternative food networks, food democracy, territorial approaches to food systems development. She has her fingers and pulses in all the work that we're doing together at the coalition. We're very lucky to have both Julia and Viola. I'm just gonna say a couple of things before I let the mic over, so to speak, to Alvaro. Um, Farmers markets key element we want to remind you, and this is one of our foundational approach and framework of the World Farmers Markets Coalition. We have these three-pronged, three-legged stool, three-pronged approach. There are farmers in the center. And then there's consumers, shoppers who shop at the market. And that's not it. We also where the farmers market exists, we develop and care for and cultivate the community. So there's a community, farmers and consumers. And of course, we believe the farmers markets must be managed. So there's a management inside the market space. So these are what we believe to be farmers markets key elements. And this is all relevant as you listen to our speakers' presentations today. And also just to remind you, our long-term goals in terms of economic, social, and ecological human development. And they align with at least 8 of the Sustainable Development Goals at the UN. So, develop resilient, circular local economies within our farmers, shoppers, and the community, and promote public health by not only nutritional, by providing nutrition, but also to provide to animate safe and inclusive public spaces and to elevate social inclusions of women and youth. All of that we consider as part of public health. Reverse biodiversity loss by rewarding farmers, fishers, and harvesters who cultivate, forage, and trade on traditional crops. And lastly, and not least, bring urban and rural communities together. So these 4 are, very high level summary to bring together all that we value and, we want to achieve. Today, we're going to focus on the biodiversity, which is a, huge point of the 4. And without much more ado, I'm going to bring Alvaro Toledo to the spotlight, and he will speak to us about how farmers markets support the biodiversity conservation. Welcome, Alvaro. And you can tell me to, go to the next slide, or, if I don't do it right, I'm right here.
Well, thank you very much, Robin, and thank you to everyone attending this studio. It's really a privilege for me to be be able to share with you this time and to be able to discuss this issue, which I think we all share. It's crucial for the future of humanity, but also for the future of food security. And I think it's not so much that for me to explain how farmer markets contribute to biodiversity is the other way around. I think the expertise is with the partners of the World Farmers Market Coalition, and I'm very much look forward for the interaction and moving forward to build this relationship and partnership. So today what we're going to be doing is focusing on the role of biodiversity in sustainable food systems, and in doing so I'm going to be focusing on a specific area of biodiversity. Biodiversity is, of course, the diversity of life on Earth. There's three levels that we normally discuss when we speak about biodiversity. There's the ecosystem level, there's the range of species that inhabit this planet, and there's the genetic level, the genetic diversity within those species. So within the United Nations, we have several conventions, agreements, international agreements dedicated to biodiversity. The most important one, because it's an umbrella convention, is the Convention on Biological Diversity, but there are other more specialized agreements that I'm going to talk about. There's one special agreement within FAO, an international agreement dedicated to agricultural biodiversity. So this is the FAO Plant Treaty, or the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources, and I'm going to kind of be explaining a little bit how it works, what's the focus of the actions we have, and then how do we see that all the partnerships, all the network that support the treaty implementation could link up with everyone who's working on farmers markets, and how farmer markets and its coalition could bring value to the implementation of the treaty. Before going into it, I would like to just highlight that there's two colleagues of mine, Hedwig and Laura, that are also participating today, and we look forward to interact with all of you.
Welcome.
Okay, so next slide. I just wanted to start with this slide from an herbarium. This is some cereals that were collected by the Russian researcher Nikolai Vavilov in Asturias, Spain, almost 100 years ago. So I think it's been almost a century since we started this idea of a systematic global approach to conservation of the crop diversity that's crucial for agriculture. So in a way, this is a long time endeavor, a very ambitious one, in which many players need to be involved, from farmers to researchers to everyone in between. Next slide. So what Nikolai Vavilov was able to propose to the world is how the diversity of agriculture is originated in different parts of the world. And as you see, most of the centers of origin of crops, where most diversity lies, is in the south. It's not in the north. So while the north does have the infrastructure and the technologies, the diversity of the plants that feed the world originate from the south, so south of the world. And you would see probably that in any of your countries, many of the species that are in this map are either cultivated or consumed. That is because these plants have been traveling around the world for many centuries, and we basically, all of us, almost depend on all of them worldwide. So it's while the origin of these plants is very much located in different parts of the world, we're highly interdependent across regions on these plants and their diversity. So if you move to the next slide, It's just to show the high level of interdependence that countries have generally on genetic diversity for plant production, for farming, from other parts of the world, basically, which means that no country is self-sufficient when it comes to these resources, and basically we need to collaborate among ourselves to try to develop solutions as we move forward in the common challenges that we have for food security and for food systems. Next slide. So just recapping a little bit my initial slides, it's important to understand that agricultural biodiversity, especially plant diversity, has its own features. It's different than wild biodiversity, where basically we're mostly targeting protected area conservation as the main conservation strategy. In the case of agricultural biodiversity, we need to realize that this is mostly man-made biodiversity, that its biodiversity has co-evolved with us through generations of farming. There's high interdependence among our countries, so basically we need to keep some level of exchange between different parts of the world, so that our food systems are diverse and do not suffer from genetic uniformity. We need to. It's a type of biodiversity that is very important, is critical for our nations, because it's supporting very basic human needs of food security, and it supports sustainable agriculture. And what we always said in FAO is that in the case of this diversity, it's by using it that we are guaranteeing its conservation. So it's not the same concept of wild biodiversity, that it's just protection. It's just by enabling this diversity to be part of the food systems is how we're going to keep it alive. So the use element, which is basically in the hands of farmers in the farming community, is essential to keep this type of biodiversity evolving and being enjoyed by society. So that's a very important element to consider. And there's also a lot of different types of users involved: the breeders, farmers, companies, universities, gene banks, local NGOs, the farmers markets themselves. So that brings a community that we need to take into consideration as we move forward. Next slide. Just some data about our international treaty. Basically, it's in force since 2006. It has three main objectives: benefit sharing is very important, conservation and sustainable use, as we've discussed. It's in harmony with the Convention on Biological Diversity, which is the framework convention I mentioned in the beginning. And basically it has a number of very particular mechanisms to support its mandate, including the recognitions of farmers' rights. It's the only international agreement that recognizes the enormous contribution that farmers have done throughout the past, but also in the future, to the diversity of crops that feed the world. And there's also a number of mechanisms to ensure that the benefits that arise from the use of this diversity go back to these farming communities. Next slide. This is not a fully updated slide on our membership. I think by now that Colombia, which is now in blue, which meant it had not fully acceded into the treaty, now it's a full member of the treaty. South Africa has also become a member. So a lot of the countries in the world are almost around 155 by now, are contracting parties of the treaty. So we're aiming at having a universal treaty very soon enough. Next slide. So when we refer to plant genetic diversity, it's the diversity of species that contribute to our food security. There's different, of course, legumes, cereals, fruits, tuber crops, a wide range of plants that are contributing to our food systems in a regular manner. Next slide. We are basically focusing on initiatives that go from the local level, as the community seed bank in Malawi that you can see in the photo, to global initiatives such as the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, which is the ultimate backup security vault that we have available to safeguard diversity that is disappearing elsewhere. But of course, there's these different levels have to communicate. So basically what the treaty is trying to do is create links between the local level conservation efforts of communities with national gene banks and international gene banks up to the level of the global seed vault. So the idea is that this diversity has to circulate and be safeguarded using all these different levels. Next slide. And the whole concept is basically to bring diversity, which is now in the seed banks, in the freezers of the gene banks, to the freezers of every home, basically. And in doing so, I think we really hope that farmers markets have a big place to play. So going into some of the more technical work that we do, one of the mechanisms that we have to implement the treaty is the Benefit Sharing Fund. It's a fund that is hosted by us here in FAO. And we basically it's a fund, it's the only fund in the UN dedicated fully to the conservation of agrobiodiversity by farming communities. So the idea is that it's a fund to support initiatives in the developing world where basically it's about how to improve the livelihoods of farming communities with the use of plant genetic diversity. We focus on bringing adapted plant diversity to the communities and developing local value chains that support those communities. Next slide. These are the types of results that we aim to have with all of our projects. I think I want to highlight that output number 2.2, where basically it's one of the aims, one of the activities we fund is to support the enhancement of local food value chains as a way to enhance the use of adapted plant genetic diversity. Which means for us that, of course, through the development of initiatives, local value chain initiatives such as food markets, one can find mechanisms to then insert agrobiodiversity and therefore connect this diversity to consumers, basically, which you create new dynamics on how you can keep plants and plant diversity in the hands of farmers by creating these value chains. Next slide. So just to go rapidly to some of the interventions we are supporting so that you also get a sense of what we are doing in practice. This is a photo that we've of one of our partners where we're working with scientists and farmers to have a compact of certain local varieties of wheat that had disappeared from cultivation. This basically resulted in some foods that were typically in the area had disappeared, because with the disappearance of the wheat varieties, there was no opportunity to create the local bread anymore. So basically, we've been helping the researchers to retrieve material from other parts of the world that had conserved that particular material and be able to select back some seeds that could be used to not only plant that plant variety, that old variety again in their area, but also to recreate the bread and to sell it in the local markets. That's one of the experiences that we have from Serbia. There's other similar experiences in other parts of the world, such as Uruguay or Georgia. Next slide. Another activity that what we do quite often relates to enabling farming communities to have materials back, crop diversity back in their fields, but without pathogens. I think sometimes, especially with tuber crops, we're seeing a situation where farming communities cannot keep under cultivation certain varieties because they have a number of problems with, of course, climate change is affecting the way pathogens are moving around, and some of the varieties that did very well until very recently have new problems related to pathogens. So it's about also providing services to farmers to enable them to keep cultivating the diversity that they prefer, and in doing so they require these services that our partners are providing to them. Next slide. We're also, as I mentioned, are working at local level to strengthen local seed value chains, basically, and that requires, for example, in a number of occasions, is to improve how local seed is produced by following a number of standards that FAO has to enable communities to elevate the quality of the seeds that are available in their local areas. So that's another example, in this case from Ecuador. Next slide. And we're also involved in participatory approaches to not only maintaining diversity that's already in farmers' fields, but also generating new diversity with support of the communities. It's either through participatory variety selection or participatory plant breeding, where you get communities to work with research communities and generate new varieties that adapt to the local conditions and are also following the preferred traits that the communities have. So we have a lot of that going on with learning platforms that include farmer field schools, but also the installation of community seed banks that the communities use to be able to conserve the diversity they feel is most appropriate. Next slide. I think it's also important, given the state of the world, to emphasize how these interventions are also important in the case of emergencies, and that's some work we've done in Yemen, where basically, of course, the dangerous mixture between droughts and ongoing conflict is producing devastating effects in food security at local level. So we are working with the scientific community and the farming community in Yemen to really test varieties that would enable farming in these difficult situations. Next slide. So this is a bit of an introduction to our work, and it's very, very synthetic introduction to try to understand how we work with communities, how we see that communities, farming communities, are connected with other conservation approaches which take place globally and nationally. And then Robin had asked me to kind of have a bit of a discussion on how I see farmers market have a place in FAO's work on agrobiodiversity and in the implementation of the treaty. So this is a slide to kind of start that conversation. So from my point of view, and I think this is something that you have already started with your campaign on counting biodiversity, is that we really need to understand farmers markets or as hotspots of food diversity. So this is the opportunity, I think, it's just to we need to communicate this role to local municipalities, to local governments, to national planners, that food markets, farmers markets can play that role. They can be the bridge between the farming communities in rural areas with the urban consumers, and they can also enable how to build awareness on these on this type of biodiversity and its unique features. It's about, from my point of view, it's about enabling strategies that also allow consumers to participate in the effort of conservation by making them part of the consumption of these varieties and by enabling new alliances. I think one of the common patterns, trends that we see all over the world with the communities we work is that the guardians of biodiversity, of agricultural biodiversity, all over the world are becoming very old. So it's not only that agricultural biodiversity is disappearing, it's that the guardians of that diversity are also disappearing. And actually that's one of the main threats that we have ongoing. So we need new strategies to bring new alliances together. And that would include consumers, but also include new ways of enabling this conservation by the younger generation. So that is one of the key messages I have, and I think that's where we believe that farmers market have a place to support in this endeavor. But there, I think in terms of understanding farmers market as hotspots of food biodiversity, we need strong methodologies, and then we also need mechanisms that, like this studio, to share lessons, to understand what good practices exist that we can replicate elsewhere, so that we basically enable seeds to food value chains connected. Again, I mean, I think that the previous slide, please.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. So only to just highlight again the need for visualizing this role. And I think the other element I think for me to highlight is that for us, what we're also working in starting to work in FAO is on developing agendas for sustainable urban food systems, and there we do think that in that policy area of sustainable urban food systems, there's a place for promoting sustainable use of agrobiodiversity, and there we think also that where farmers market development can be an important tool in those planning exercise. So we are also looking forward for examples of how you are working with local planners to enhance farmers markets. So that's it from my side. I'm probably taking too much time.
Alvaro, we could have gone on for a whole hour listening to you. Thank you so much. And welcome again, FAO colleagues here with Alvaro. Those who have any reaction, comments, questions, please drop it in the chat. And we will do our best to address all of them. I like that farmers markets are the hot spots of food biodiversity. This has got to be the only thing I know to conserve. You eat more, you use more, right? Usually conserving means saving and use less. You eat more and you conserve. So I really love that. I do have some questions, but I'm gonna save it for a little later. So you made a very nice segue to talk about our farmers markets count campaign. So, your work, if it's like the overall high level framework to create a universal treaty for the global biodiversity, we're on the ground, we're the foot soldiers to organize and mobilize our farmers markets folks. So farmers markets count it's a play on word in English, to say like something counts means, it matters. It matters a lot. And we're counting biodiversity, number of farmers, number of shoppers. And we started with biodiversity. And here we have Viola and Julia to share with us what our campaign is all about. So I'm going to not stop the spotlighting. Manuel, please. And we will go to full screen. Hold on, I can do this. Okay, here we go.
Thank you, Robin. I am going to start a few slides and then I'll pass the word to Julia. You can go on the next slide. Just very briefly, a reminder of what is this campaign. The Farmers Market Count campaign is a digital global communication, is what we call an outreach and advocacy strategy for the World Farmers Market Coalition, with a unifying message: Farmers Market Count. We want to make the case that Farmers Market count for biodiversity when it comes to farmers' inclusion, especially for women, youth, young farmers, and indigenous community, and also for consumers, to guarantee them access to sustainable and healthy diet. To develop this communication campaign, we have decided actually to focus on three main focal dates during the year. The first one that has just been closed on May 22nd, that is the day of International Day for Biological Diversity, where we ask our members and also other farmers markets from around the world to count biodiversity in their markets. And this is what we're going to focus today. And just I want to introduce very quickly Campaign B, that is going to happen on the 3rd and 10th of July on occasion of the Rural Development Day, that of July, where we're going to count farmers, again with a specific actually focus on women, youth, and indigenous farmers. And then Campaign C, which will take place in October in occasion of the World Food Day. And the dates are going to be changed. They're not anymore the 13th, 19th of October, but most probably from the 9th to the 16th of October. In this case, we're going to count shoppers to showcase that farmers markets are not only economically actually valid for farmers, because there are shoppers that buy through farmers market, but also that farmers market are places where fresh and sustainable food can be accessed to consumers. Next slide, please. So the scope and opportunities of this global call to action are to promote the World Farmers Market Coalition, expand our network, advocate for farmers market, and also, and especially, to develop tools and capacity also within our members and farmers market practitioners around the world, also in self-evaluation and data collection. So the idea is also to collect data to inform future advocacy, and also to, of course, advocate about farmers market with local, national, and regional stakeholders, so policymakers and so on. Next slide, please. In the case of counting biodiversity, what we wanted to achieve is recognize the role of farmers markets, that farmers markets should replace in biodiversity preservation and growth. As I said before, foster a culture of evaluation among leadership of farmers market around the world, and not ultimately also reward those that cultivate and promote biodiversity, because we believe that in order, as actually Alvaro just mentioned it before, it's not only about preserving biodiversity, it's about promoting biodiversity, and to do so you need to consume biodiversity. And farmers market, we believe, are a platform that encourage or enable this. Next slide, please. The goal for this first campaign that I would like to say was closed or finished on the 25th of May, but we have extended a bit the dates to allow more farmers, actually, farmers market to participate. So the counting is closed, but actually the data analysis is still happening. Our main goal was to count around 500 biodiverse products in the among the farmers market, and as we will report, we have achieved this goal. And the idea was actually to communicate this achievement to policymakers, local decision makers, and also potential actually farmers market supporter and partners, so local organization that works with biodiversity and so on. And this connects with what Alvaro was saying. You need policy, you need environments that make for farmers market possible to be there, in order to allow farmers to sell these products that are promote biological diversity. Next slide, please. The result and impact of the biodiversity counting are to align the vast biodiversity in farmers markets to increase the Farmers Market Association capacity of data collection, as I was saying, highlighting also the growing public interest in both consumers and producers around biodiversity in plant and animal breed. And this is one of the actually key highlight, or not also like finding of our accounting. And then, of course, emphasizing the importance of supporting community-driven initiatives like farmers markets, nor ultimately advocate for local food policy, as we were saying, that invest in farmers market. And raise awareness, of course, also about farmers' biological diversity and the role of biological diversity for food security and local and healthy diets. Next, actually, slide. And I pass my word to Giulia.
Thank you, Viola. Today, I'm going to show you what we have done so far in terms of concrete actions and a small overview of the data that we gathered. First of all, we proudly completed the first phase of farmer market count, which was campaign A regarding biodiversity. So we completed the count in each of the markets that joined us. But we also raised awareness on the link between biodiversity and farmers market. Then we were able to engage with all the participants through some dedicated webinars that we created in order to give to the people really step-by-step guidance and tools to accomplish the campaign A of farmer market count. Through the webinars, we were also able to explain the tools that we thought and the methodology that we created to complete each step of this campaign. Next slide. Then we also have some successful aspects, but also some challenging parts. First, I would like to start with the most successful part for us. So first of all, we were able to grow a global community. We already have a solid base with World Farmers Market Coalition, but with this campaign, we were able to create a stronger bond within the coalition, but also to engage more people and people that are not part of the coalition, so they're not members of the coalition, but they still were able and like willing to join us to reflect the importance of this campaign. We also had interest from, as I said, individuals, but also organizations outside of our network, and their support was like vital for us to make our voice spread more and louder. Next slide. During the campaign period, we saw the number of our interaction on social media increase. So, for example, on Instagram, we had 40% more of traction and traffic during the campaign A. We saw that all the participants were were happy to share the photos of their biodiversity count on social media, but also on our WhatsApp group, both specific for farmer market count, but also for the other WhatsApp group that we have in our coalition. And for me personally, it was like really amazing to see all the pictures and all the managers of the markets that were sending the pictures and video, and they were proud to share what was happening in their market at that time. So we also saw a strong bond between the people inside the coalition that were interested in in sharing their content, but also like commenting and engaging with the content that other markets were sharing. And this, I think, really showed the great force of this campaign. Next slide. Now we need to move to the challenging aspects of the campaign. So first of all, this campaign is like really complex, and for us it's been a bit difficult to manage everything with just a small team, because actually I don't know if you know, but we are just 4 people managing everything, so that one was like really challenging. So for the next campaigns that we intend to do, of course we will need to have more people on the team to have better possibilities of visibility and to raise awareness more. Then the second challenging aspect is like biodiversity. So, and for 2 reasons. The first one is because the biodiversity, it is like a crucial theme. And the other factor is because campaign A was the first campaign that like we did in this farmer market count. So first of all, it's always difficult to start with something new. And if we want to add to that difficulty, also the difficult of the topic, like we were a bit scared of that time when we saw how the things were like going. So many participants were unfamiliar with the count. They didn't know how to follow our methodology, and they needed, of course, extra guidance through the process. Then we try to work hard and to anticipate all the challenges that we could face during the campaign. We already anticipated some of them while structuring everything, but others were impossible to predict. So we faced some, not problems, but like some route changes while we were doing the work. Next slide. To link a concrete problem that we had was the category about animal. So we found out that this category was really chaotic for people like to really understand what we wanted to know and how we wanted like this category to be counted. So we will change something in the next phases and everything in order to avoid like confusion between the participants. And also something that we realized is that we need to be more clear. We thought like we were clear enough, but apparently we were not. So for like the next steps, we will. I'm not saying we are going to give you more webinars because I know there were already a lot, but like we will try to give you maybe less steps or like less notions all in once, but more clear and focused. Next slide. So having our overall, we can say that, of course, we have some opportunities for growth. For example, we want to scale the campaign in the future phases and expand the reach of the campaign even further than it is right now. We want to go deeper on the next theme that we will develop in the next campaign, and also explore new angles of a specific topic. Then we want to to make a stronger bond between participants, and also create new tools and maybe a new way to train the participants, but also build a long-term engagement that goes beyond the campaign. Next slide. So now we go into numbers. As Viola said before, we are still receiving the results, and so we are still counting all your counts. But right now we received 50 surveys based on out of 160 participants. And we saw that we have more than 5K unique products, and this was, as Viola said, the first goal that we achieved. Of course, we have new data that is being collected, so I hope soon we can share more concrete and right numbers. But we already had some trends that brought us some meaningful insight. And of course, we saw that fruits and veggies were the most successful categories. Next slide.
Yeah. Should I go, Julia, very quickly?
Yes.
We wanted to highlight some special case or interesting case. One is about the Nordic countries, Denmark and Norway, where May is definitely not the best way or moment in the year to count biodiversity, because as you may know, the fields are just recovering from the cold winter and long winter and dark. However, even though, as I was saying, was not the best moment, it was surprising to find out that herbs and vegetables were still the most successful categories, especially a huge variety of herbs among Norway and Denmark. There are implications. What are the implications about this? I mean, it's important to say that this is a case, or this is actually a data or a specific case that show how farmers markets contributed to the transition toward a more biodiverse diet and toward more, consume of a more vegetable-based diet in that sense. And this is very interesting, I think, to highlight. On the next slide, we have the case of Mexico, and if you can change, actually, Robin, the slide. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think there's a bit delayed, sorry.
Sorry, no, it's fine. Kenya, Italy, and Mexico with legumes, again, another very important category, because we know about how important he is for the protein transition. So among the 19 markets in Italy, they were found or counted more than 200 varieties of legumes. It's a crazy amount of different legumes, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. 25 varieties only in one market in Nairobi, also very exceptional. And 25 varieties counted, I forgot to put it, in Mexico at the feria in our friend Victor. Again, this connects with an important, agenda, that is that of the protein transition, which, especially in the, let's say, global north, is something very sensitive these days. We can go on the next slide to conclude. What are the key takeaways we feel confident to mention? Yes, farmers market play a crucial role in the transition to sustainable diet, for what I've just mentioned. So in huge variety of herbs and vegetables, a huge variety of legumes. There is strong evidence of regional diversity in products available at the market. The preliminary data supports broader goals, including the Sustainable Development Goals and the UN FAO. And there is a community of interest between producer and consumers in farmers market for biodiversity. And this is an important case because, as we were saying, and I would like to highlight again, what Alvaro said, if you want to preserve biodiversity, you need to consume it. And that's very important. The next slide is about the next step on the campaign. just so you know. So this is in June, we are collecting the data, analyzing the data from campaign A and prepping for campaign B, which, as I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, will happen from the 3rd until the 10th of July. And we're gonna count farmers. I would like to point out that on the 23rd of June, so in few days, we are having our training webinar for where we're gonna present the methodology and the communication campaign for campaign B. So please sign up, make sure to join it also, because it's gonna be much more easy than counting biodiversity for the challenge that Julia has mentioned. Thank you so much. Over.
Amazing. Thank you so much, ladies. I do want to say on behalf of our coalition, I am so proud of us. We had, I mean, I know, Julia, you were being funny about all the challenges, but they were not unforeseen. We knew it was going to be difficult, and it was the first time, it was grassroots, and to do this one time, cross-sectional, meaning one point in time in one place, like say New York State, where I am, or Rome alone, would be limiting and difficult. We went with the global, South and North, and we have 5,000 plus biodiversity products that we have collected. So I think that's amazing. I think we need to give us the credit for having started something that's really daunting. Because as we know, if we do nothing about something challenging, nothing will change. So we will do better later, but I think this is already amazing. We don't have a lot of time, but I wanted to ask a couple of questions. Alvaro, I'm gonna come back to you. The world you're in, you know, like creating this a global framework and treaty is very different from the world that we're in. We're on the ground. Well, I'm sure there are many, but can you share with us, as open as you would like to be, one challenging aspect of your work in really connecting with people on the ground, people like our members?
Well, thanks for the question, Robin. I think, of course, the way the UN is structured is that basically the UN is a platform of member countries, of governments, of nations, basically. So the relationship with stakeholders that are at the local level is somehow challenged by basically this middle level that separates between the global and the local level. I think what's been important is also the efforts like yours to create global networks, because those create a space where we can basically relate at global to global, and then basically look at what's happening or really build on what's happening at the local level. So that's clearly a challenge, but it's also, I think, that you almost already have got the solution in it.
Well, you have a partner like us. And a question to Viola and Julia. I know we've already been working with Alvaro and his team, and that's how we have him here as an invited guest. How can, reverse the question, how can we leverage our partnership and friends at the UN in terms of promoting biodiversity in the work that we're doing? Can you think of like one or two concrete things? Either one. Yeah, you can go first.
I can just mention, I mean, it could be something that it becomes a partnership, a strategic partnership, what we have just done for next year in the same period where biological diversity is counted, or maybe in other period where it's more appropriate. But I think having the recognition of the UN and of the treaty, of course, validate our work. And that's of course, and also by connecting the expertise within the UN team and our staff would also actually contribute to leverage not only our voice but also our work and impact, I think. So this would be my suggestion.
Thank you. And you, Julia?
Sorry, I was muted. No, I think that Viola expressed everything. So that's
I
all.
think that I think that in terms of communication, that Julia does really well is with the public and our members. I think I mean, we've been bombarded by wonderful photos that our members have been posting in our WhatsApp groups, and there are a lot that we already have learned just through this first round. I think that communication, if I might suggest, communication at the policymaker level or global partner level, advocate level, I think would be also very important. And that's one of the places I think that Alvaro that we could work with you and your team in talking about what's going on the ground and what really we have been finding. But this is all very, very exciting. Before we take we will take Q&A at the end, so please keep on dropping your comments and questions. We can talk about it. Also, the speakers here will address you if possible in the chat. And the next, we have asked three members of our coalition to see if it's possible for them to go to their field and their market and show us their biodiversity, however they define it. And these are the three places that I mean, we all of our members have wonderful biodiversity, but these are the places that we have all been to and that we have in a way firsthand experience in like what it really looks like. So we asked Turkey, Sri Lanka, and Peru. We're first gonna go to Adana, Turkey, and I'm going to share with you this video.
Merhaba, ben Aydın Demirbaş. Adana Tufanbeyli, Yamanlı Mahallesi'nde yaşıyorum. Biz yıllardır, yani çocukluğumuzdan, babadan, dededen, nesillerdir bakliyat yetiştiriyoruz. Nohut, fasulye, mercimek. Biz kendi ürünlerimizi, ektiğimiz ürünleri tekrar tohum bırakıp gelecek yıl tohumumuzu kendimiz üretiyoruz. Kendi ürünlerimizden bıraktığımız tohumlarla yetiştirme yapıyoruz. Ürünlerimiz şu an nohudumuz çiçek aşamasında, bir kısmı yeni veriyor. Nohutlarımızın hali bu şekilde şu an. Biz nohutlarımıza su dahi vermiyoruz. Yani yağmur suyuyla yetişiyor. Şu an mercimek tarlamıza geldik. Mercimek tarlasındayız. Mercimeklerimiz de yeni çiçeklenme döneminde. Çiçeklenme aşamasında. Bu da yağmur suyuyla yetişiyor. Herhangi bir sulama sistemimiz yok burada. Sulama yapmıyoruz. Doğal. Son olarak da fasulye tarlamıza geldik. Fasulye tarlamızdaki ürünlerimiz de çıkmış. Fasulyelerimiz çıkım aşamasını tamamladı. Bundan sonra çapasını yapacağız. Ve sulamasını yapacağız. Bakımlarını yapıp yetiştireceğiz. Çiftleş aşamasında herhangi bir sıkıntımız yok. Sağlıklı bir şekilde çıkımını tamamlamıştır fasulyelerimiz. Slow Food Adana pazarındayız. Kendi ürünlerimiz tanıtımını yapıyoruz ve bu ailede bulunmaktan mutluluk duyuyorum.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to let's take the spotlights off our guest speakers and maybe Peter. We asked these members to go out and record it on their phone and put subtitles, so all for free. So that was a lot of work that we asked them to do, and Peter decided to literally go to the field where the farmers are. I just want to hear from Peter just for 1 minute. I've had Turkish white beans and I cannot eat white beans elsewhere anymore because it's so wonderful. Can you just say just a little bit about the lentils and the legumes that your farmers grow and why you decided to feature these farmers?
Hi everybody. In Slow Food Adana Earth Market, legumes are very important, especially chickpeas, and it takes its name where it grows from Tufanbeyli. And in old days, about 40-50 years ago, chickpea was a street snack in Adana, boiled chickpeas, and it's almost forgotten now. And also, when the chickpea is green, we ate when I was young, when I was a children, when I was a child, but now it's almost forgotten. That's why it's very special product for us. And in our earth market, our producer, Aydın, has the boiled chickpeas, and the customers or the children or wherever who comes to the market taste these products. And what can I say? It's our it isn't only a food, it's our memory, survival identity, and the chickpea we use a lot of much in our food, in our
It's everywhere.
yes.
Yeah. And to
That's the
grow
reason.
legumes in a regenerative farming skills, no irrigation, no tilling.
No irrigation.
So
Yes.
that's really amazing and wonderful. Thank you to your
And
partners.
and the product one time in a year. It's very special. No herbicide, pesticides.
Yes. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you
Peter. We
for
really appreciate it for taking us to Adana, Turkey. Okay,
thank you.
now we're gonna go to Sri Lanka. Ashala and her team recorded this for us. Good Market Sri Lanka. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Sarah and welcome to Good Market Sri Lanka.
Oh, look at that.
I am Dhammika Aberatna from Purasgarden Organic Private Limited. Purasgarden Organic is a farm based on the Forest gardening system, that is, they are making use of the 7 layers of vegetation to make a food forest. The main the idea is actually to protect all the food varieties going out of the market, out of the society, and traditional valuable food crops we are collecting and planting with very high diversity. This is one of the example, diversity of brinjal. My idea is to educate more and more customers. Therefore, I decided that a good market is a very good window.
So here actually I visit like frequently, like every weekend most of the time. Then normally I visit these organic stores in here and I buy a variety of vegetables. So not the same thing, I buy different things I want to try out. So types I buy every day. So all these grains and like different items and fruits. So I used to buy them and I'm like frequent customer here.
So when I did the farmers market count, one thing that I specifically noticed was the different varieties of the same species. For example, today we have around 7 different varieties of the same species of brinjal, and we were talking about it and how how the biodiversity has affected the market and how it has been improved. So now the customers can find different varieties of different things. I saw different varieties of bananas too, more than 15 species. For example, today we have here the sugar bananas, and we have couple of varieties like this in Sri Lanka as well.
Yay. This is so wonderful. I'm gonna stop my sound. Can we spotlight Ashala? Ashala, are you here?
Hi, Robin.
Hi, Robin. I think
Hello.
Sarah is here and both of us
Oh,
are
and
here.
Sarah's here.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I want to take Sarah to because I really wanted her also because she has done a great job and hard work.
Sure.
Because
Sarah, can you
she
raise
took the
your
lead.
hand so we
Yeah.
can spotlight you?
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
gonna
Sarah?
tell you to
Hi, I'm here. Hello.
we're trying to find you, Sarah. Can you raise your hand so we can we wanna spotlight you.
Wait, I'll change my name. I think my name also goes as Achara. I think you're here. Hi.
Oh, there's that. Okay, Ashala. Hello. Oh, you're both. It
Hey.
shows as Ashala. That's why. Thank you so much for this. Again, you got my assignment. Take your phone and make a video and put subtitles, and you knocked it out of the park. Thank you so much. There's so many things I want to ask, but just one question for the sake of the limited time. Your farmer is such a great spokesman. The farmer's market is a very good window, he said. Can you share with us, or if you haven't done this already, can you share with us what possibly you can do to campaign biodiversity with your farmers, the actual producers, and maybe young shoppers as well? Have you done a campaign like this for your community, or is that a good idea?
We are currently actually doing campaigns because we have a shop as well and we put vegetable there and we have the market every day, every Saturday. So since we have vegetable stalls, like we currently have 4. One is done by Good Market community itself. I mean, internally we are doing one as well. So we are putting social media campaigns about different varieties and about the farmers that we are working with. And we are especially focusing on a certificate system called PGS as well. So we have to talk about it and we have to verify that from where we get our vegetables and fruits as well. So we continuously, I mean, last couple of years, we have been doing the campaign for the consumers and to farmers and new community. And we are working with a couple of funding organizations to work with rural level farmers also. So continuously, we are trying to give away the information and to be transparent about what we are doing and what sort of crops we have currently. And organic means always have to be, transparent.
Of course. Ashala, how
Yeah.
about you? Do you have anything to
Yeah,
add?
I just wanted a little add because even though we have been doing, continuous discussion and then the dialogues about promoting farmers market and bring the farmer in and developing the value chains, all of that. But this is the first time we did farmers market count, that's something really special for us because then only we realize how many varieties of vegetables, how many varieties of bananas and then grains we have in the country. And because we can't even easily find them in normal supermarkets or in normal shops, because this is only come from farmlands and from the real farmers. So that's why I feel like we are getting even new customers, even like not just customers, they're very conscious what they're eating and they're the one who even developing the dialogue, even the varieties of customers, even like we can see young people, the old adults PR people and, different varieties of people. And they are like very regulars even for us, because we do even the customer count also at the market, about like, 1,500 to 2,000. The customers we get every Saturday to the market. Even as Sarah mentioned about, yes, we have a community stall. I mean, that is the stall for smallholder farm. If they can't afford and come to market, we have a special place for them. They can even send their produce by train or a public transport. Then we have people to go and pick up them and come back and sell behalf of them. So likewise, we really trying to, develop the ecosystem and promote farmer, and then even without a middleman, how we can bring the farm to plate. That's the kind of like a mindset we are trying to promote.
Thank you so much. This is literally my happiest place. Now you are all giving me ideas. Like maybe we should do a series of videos, just presenting videos from all our members. That will be our webinar. Thank you, Sara. Thank you, Ashala, for making this happen. We learned so much about you from Sri Lanka. Now we're going, last but not least, we're gonna go to Peru. Oop, here we go.
The Andes are a great source of biodiversity, and Peru is a big demonstration of it. Agroferias is a weekly celebration.
Es importante que promovamos el consumo de la biodiversidad. Nosotros hacemos diferentes campañas para que los clientes sepan a qué productos llegan a la ciudad. Por ejemplo, uno de los productos de la biodiversidad peruana es la chirimoya. La chirimoya es una fruta que la llamamos la reina de las frutas, porque es muy deliciosa, muy dulce. Sin embargo, las nuevas generaciones no lo consumen y esta fruta cada vez se está perdiendo más. Por eso, el equipo de comunicaciones hicimos una campaña para promover el consumo de chirimoyas y les pedimos a los clientes hacer una receta innovadora, ¿no? Y entregamos un premio. Entonces la gente empezó a investigar, a hacer platillos diferentes y así se fue consumiendo más la chirimoya. Definitivamente que hay mucho trabajo que hacer por los jóvenes que no conocen nuestra biodiversidad y de repente no van a consumir un producto en su estado natural, pero sí son muy perceptivos cuando se le da valor agregado, ¿no? Por ejemplo, este es un refresco de chirimoya. Entonces los productores ya están dándole valor agregado a estos productos. Para nosotros como agroferias campesinas, el recuento de la biodiversidad fue muy emocionante, ya que nos permitió ver algunos productos que no los teníamos registrados, ¿no? Muchas veces en la rutina, el día a día, hace que no nos fijemos en los detalles, en las cosas importantes. Entonces, cuando visitamos cada puesto y enumeramos la biodiversidad, realmente nos quedamos sorprendidos porque más o menos contamos unos 800 productos solamente en un día de feria. Puedes encontrar 800 productos de todo el Perú, de todo el país, en un pequeño espacio directamente de los agricultores.
Hay propios cultivos en la parcela que tenemos, todo un poco, mango, chirimoya, nopales, agave, después tuna, durazno, pacay. Paltas nativas tenemos también casi 40 variedades y vienen diferentes temporadas, o temporadas para agosto, si tiene octubre. Esa temporada salen en full y ahí son diferentes tamaños, colores. Es bien difícil el campo, pero bonito es cultivar la vida, ¿no? Trabajar a ellos es como los hijos, en hacer crecer y que produzcan, a ellos cuidarlos también es lo mismo, ¿no? En campo se aprende conforme vas, cómo va yendo, de acuerdo al clima, todo es también, cada año no es lo mismo, ¿no? Por ejemplo, combatir las plagas de forma natural, hay años que te afecta fuerte. Y el tema del agua también, en cada agricultor tenemos diferentes problemas. En caso mío, por ejemplo, el agua es escasez, depende de un manantial. Entonces hay que ver cómo trabajar, manejar eso, ¿no? Siempre hay cultivar de forma natural. Te afecta, pierdes muchas cosas, pero la satisfacción que tienes es que estás trabajando de forma natural, sin contaminar el agua, sin contaminar la tierra, el medio ambiente, ¿no? La tierra hay que cuidar lo que nos da a comer. Cada vez queremos comer lo mejor, pero ¿qué hacemos por la tierra, por el agua? Dejamos botados plásticos, botellas, contaminamos con todo, pero exigimos cada vez a la tierra que nos da más. Esforzar, ¿no? Y esa es la parte del trabajo de nosotros del campo.
Wonderful. Thank you. Hi, Ana Maria. Is Carlos also here?
Yes, Carlos and Jorge are here, actually.
Carlos, where are you? I want to spotlight you as well. Are you here? Oh, here
Hola
you
Robin,
are.
¿cómo estás?
Okay,
Buenos
I'm
días.
going to add you. So, folks, if you haven't already, English speakers, make sure that you put your interpretation to English when Carlos speaks so you can understand him. Thank you so much for making this happen. The video is wonderful. And Ana Maria, we did get your update to be converted. Manuel is the one who does all the magic in the office. Thank you
Thanks
for
so
this.
much. No,
So
thanks so much. We were, yeah.
800 products in your market. I like literally cannot stop smiling. I want to ask, so if we look at before and after Agroferias Campesinas, biodiversity in Peru, before and after this market started, can you talk about that? Can you talk about how your farmers market, your organization, and the movement has changed the biodiversity picture of Peru?
Hola Robin, sí, mira, nosotros por ejemplo empezamos hace 12 años y había un agricultor que traía un cultivo que se llamaba arracacha, ¿no? La arracacha era un producto que la ciudad no lo conocía, es un tubérculo ancestral y que incluso en el campo le daban a los cerdos, ¿no? Porque realmente no tenía valor, pero en el campo se comía mucho. Entonces este productor empezó a traer este producto llamado arracacha y han pasado 12 años que cada fin de semana la feria ofrece este producto y ahora es muy, muy popular en la ciudad. Entonces ahora los clientes, en vez de hacer un puré de papas, hacen un puré de arracachas, ¿no? Entonces nosotros hemos descubierto que las ferias están ayudando a revalorar esa biodiversidad que estamos olvidando. Entonces eso es lo muy bonito y lo muy especial. La señora que salió, Elsa, ella tiene un caso muy especial porque está en una montaña y la montaña era desértica, pero ella empezó a traer agua de varios lugares con mangueras, hizo reverdecer o florecer la montaña y ahora trae muchos productos de la biodiversidad. Tiene como 20 variedades de paltas nativas, y entonces realmente es muy loable el trabajo de ellos cuando pensamos en biodiversidad. Y bueno, para acabar, justo mañana están llegando por primera vez a Lima nuestros productores de papas nativas. Hay un señor que tiene en su finca 400 variedades de papas nativas. Y mañana vamos a salir a la ciudad a preguntar cuántas variedades de papas conoces, ¿no? Entonces vamos a hacer como un pequeño juego de comunicaciones que ya les vamos a compartir para, para ver cómo se promueve la biodiversidad directamente de los agricultores en la ciudad. Muchas gracias y muy felices de participar en la coalición.
Thank you so much, Carlos. Ana Maria, you've been with the market for some time, even though you're not a producer yourself. Through our Farmers Markets Count campaign, what have you learned? Do you have anything you can share with us about that?
Well, yes, I don't run the market or I'm a trader there either. I'm a close friend of them, and as I always tell them, I love them because I buy there every week. Actually, during that week, I was also a bit more aware of what we had at the market. I didn't do the count per se with them. They dedicated special days, and I went later when they had the results, as Carlos is saying. And I was also impressed, but then I was reflecting, yeah, of course, if I go to one stall, Elsa, for instance, she said, no, I forgot the name, but when she presents the number of avocados, she has several every week. Then another producer, the one from Maracachas and the other from potatoes. And I'm like, yeah, easily in each stall you have over 20 varieties, easily, if not more. The one from potatoes, it didn't include that, but we have a very good friend that we visited together actually with Carlos, very high in the Andes in Cusco, in a beautiful place, but it's one mountain where they have like, it's their house, but it's a mountain.
I've been to Cusco. Yeah, I saw the dried potatoes there too.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a farmer, una comunidad campesina, they call it, over 4,000 meters above sea level, and we are like more than an hour without any connection. So they are like in very special place as well, and they save about 400 varieties of potatoes, and every week he brings about 20 varieties to the market only, because they don't produce all of them. They keep them as seeds, and they produce like in different moments, no? And I was like, yeah, actually it makes a lot of sense, because each of them is bringing so wide array, you know? And then with the mint also, and I was asking this other producer who was very young and enthusiastic, so how many would you count for, like, I don't know, another product? And he was bringing the mints also, like counting 4 at least. So yeah, it's actually, I realized that even if I buy to them every week and we chat, we spend a lot of time, and that's how I learn a lot from them, and I'm very thankful for that. During those days, I realized like how rich it was. Yeah, and I'm very grateful for that. We recently, I'm sorry that I sent you the video a bit late, but
No, that's okay. That
we were
happens.
last week at the conference in Milwaukee, as you might have seen, and we met with some coalition members as well. And I know that all of you are doing beautiful and amazing work in keeping all these diverse crops, and the knowledge and the courage and the energy also to keep them alive. And well, I can say that it's the same in Peru. I really admire them, and well, it's great to be here sharing it with you.
Thank you. So it looks like by starting this Farmers Markets Count campaign, we've been doing much more than just counting. We're gonna have to figure out a way to really capture all of our learnings beyond the counting, which counting in and of itself is very important and already very impressive. But I think there are many other things that we'd like to capture and share with the world as to why this is so important. And we are so proud of our members who have, I don't mean just the 3 here, but all our members who participated actively in our campaign and going strong for the rest of it. And for the rest of you who are here, who might or might not be our members, please watch us, follow us in our social media to see how our campaign progresses. And again, Alvaro and the UN team here, thank you so much for adding your global perspective and the framework that you're working with. So for us to continue thinking about how we can be a better partner with you. And yes, Alvaro.
Yes, no, I didn't know if I were going to have a final word. Just to react very rapidly to the 3 experiences that were presented. So I don't know if you have realized, but if you look at the map I presented at the beginning and the 3 experiences that were detailed, in my map you would have chickpea in Turkey. So it's a center of origin of chickpea. You would have aubergine in Sri Lanka. So you will have the center of origin, and the same for chirimoya and papa, which were basically the examples shown in Peru, which show basically that these are not only local efforts, that these are really global efforts that have global impact, because this losing diversity in those places is losing diversity for all of us.
So true. Great.
So I think in terms of I think it was also very interesting, the discussion about the methodology. And I think maybe we can go a bit deeper as we move forward together in trying to see what methodologies how we can enrich the methodologies together
100%. Yes.
Because basically, of course, I see that there's a possibility to have methodologies that the one you've used. We could also have more participatory approaches where we bring also some scientists together with farmers to see how we can do that in the future. And sometimes we're going to need methodologies to showcase national decision makers or local decision makers what's the added value of farmers. So maybe we would need stronger methodologies to try to showcase what impact we're getting in terms of biodiversity. So there's multiple ways that we can work together in that as we move forward. I wanted to do a last remark to basically mention that our major UN meeting is going to happen from 24 to 29 of November in Lima, Peru, and we look forward to liaise with Carlos, Jorge, and Ana Maria to try to make sure that they are present and we will showcase their work and try to kind of build a partnership with them in that. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. So yeah, Ana Maria and Carlos, just wait for it. If you can open your camera just for 5 seconds for Julia to take a shot. As we end, this was really fun. I will actually consider having a mini documentary video show of all our members for one of our studios for the rest of the year. If you can just open your camera for 3 seconds and we will post this on social media if that's okay with you. Thank you for being here. I really think that the coalition has started something so important and there's so many opportunities for us to do better and be bigger and communicate better to the world. And for that, Alvaro and others, thank you so much. All right, have a great rest of the day wherever you are, rest of the week, and we will see you next time. Thank you again for the speakers and the video makers and the members. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Ciao.
Bye.